The Truth Seeking Orbs are kinda dull. They're jutsu acquired by those who possess the Sixth Path Sage mode. Those orbs have every nature transformation imbued into them, and they have insane properties such as nullifying all ninjutsu, disintegrating everything they touch. They can be used as perfect shields almost, and they can also be molded to the user's will. They are the pinnacle of ninjutsu, extremely hard to counter, and that makes them kinda boring, to be honest. Now, it makes sense for the most powerful ninjutsu in the world to be something like this. Something that doesn't require hand signs, that is almost a godlike jutsu that has almost every property under the sun. But if the only thing your character does is just truth-seeking orb shenanigans, then fights can get a bit boring and repetitive. I really like how Juubito and Juubidara look, with those dark orbs floating behind them. It's a very striking image. Though I'm not a great fan of Juubidara's design, I like the truth-seeking orbs behind him. The same thing goes to Obito, but I think his design as Juubito is better than Madara's design as Juubidara. When the 10 Tails Jinchuriki design is combined with the orbs floating behind them, it really composes the shot. Those orbs make them feel godlike. It's as though they are a superior being. Those orbs feel like a jutsu that mortals wouldn't have access to. And that's supposed to be the point. After all, these characters are in the pinnacle of power in the universe. They've acquired the 10 tails, the combination of all tail beasts. They have to be extremely powerful. But once they turn into the Jinchuriki of the 10 tails, they just use truth-seeking orbs, especially Obito. That's everything he does in his fight against Naruto, Sasuke, Tobirama, and Minato. Now, of course, he loses access to his Kamui because otherwise he would be way too unbalanced and he would destroy every single character in his way, so Kishimoto had to nerf him in that way, and it's a fair nerf because it makes sense that he wouldn't be able to phase through dimensions with all that massive amount of chakra anymore. Maybe if Juubito had been the Jinchuriki of the 10 Tails for longer, he would eventually learn how to do that, but he became the Jinchuriki of the 10 Tails and was immediately fighting everyone, and then about 20 minutes after that he lost it, so there wasn't a lot of time to learn it. But still, Obito only uses truth-seeking orbs. Of course, they are an extremely powerful jutsu, and why wouldn't you use them if they can literally do anything in the universe? But this is to the detriment of the engagement of the fight. We see Naruto, Sasuke, Minato, and Tobirama pulling off these very intricate combos using the Flying Thunder God alongside Rasen Shuriken and Amaterasu, and they're doing a lot of stuff here. But Obito is just truth-seeking orb, shield, truth-seeking orb, throw. The only thing he does in the entire fight that doesn't involve truth-seeking orbs is the 6 Crimson Ray formation, which is a cool jutsu. It's nice to see how Naruto and Minato work together to save the entire alliance from that. But apart from that jutsu, we never see Obito doing anything that doesn't rely on the truth-seeking orbs. And yeah, Obito was already a one-trick pony before with Kamui, but at least he had some variety to that, and he could also use the Jinchurikis. I'm not saying Obito should have Kamui as Juubito, because as I said before, this would be way too unbalanced, but maybe give him something else to do, maybe another type of power that comes along with being the Jinchuriki of the 10 Tails. Truth-seeking orbs can't be the only thing granted by those powers. Even the Sword of Nunaboko, if you think about it, it's just an amalgamation of the truth-seeking orbs into a more powerful jutsu, but it's still the truth-seeking orbs. I guess Obito also uses those weird red chakra hands to break the 4 Crimson Ray formation used by the Hokages to contain the 10 Tails before, and that jutsu wasn't really a truth-seeking orb jutsu, but yeah, that and the 6 Crimson Ray formation was literally the only 2 jutsus he didn't use the truth-seeking orbs for. Madara is less affected by this truth-seeking orb over-reliance in his fights. Now granted, when he arrives in the battlefield as Juubidara, he is completely relying on the truth-seeking orbs because he's choosing not to use Limbo because Obito could see his Limbo with his Rinnegan, which is actually Madara's Rinnegan, which can explain why he will be able to see Limbo, and then he only uses truth-seeking orbs and all that. Also in the fight against Guy, Madara only uses truth-seeking orbs. The only thing he was doing there was using them as a shield, trying to toss them a couple of times, but then Kakashi uses Kamui to bypass them, and Guy simply punches Madara through the truth-seeking orbs. And then something interesting happens. Madara loses his truth-seeking orbs, because Minato teleports them away, so he only gets 1 left. And then Madara uses that 1 truth-seeking orb he had left used to create his staff, which he then uses to fight against Naruto and Sasuke, and that's something kind of inconsistent. Minato manages to teleport in front of the Truth Seeking Orbs and teleport away, but we can see the Truth Seeking Orbs touching him and they don't absolutely destroy him immediately, which is kind of weird because we saw Obito a couple of chapters before bisecting his arm with a Truth Seeking Orb staff, and then Madara does exactly the same thing. He bisects the other arm with the Truth Seeking Orb staff. Now maybe Minato was so fast that the Truth Seeking Orbs only barely touched him and he teleported away in time, but it's still kind of weird. These orbs, they work very strangely sometimes. When Naruto arrives back to the battlefield, he manages to touch Madara's Truth Seeking Orbs and not get destroyed because, of course, he has 6 paths chakra. Same thing happens with Sasuke, so that's at least justifiable. But Minato? I don't know, man. Still, Madara does have much more variety as the Jinchuriki of the 10 tails than just the Truth Seeking Orbs. It's just Madara only using the Truth Seeking Orbs kind of makes sense because he is not taking the fight extremely seriously. He is testing Guy out to see what he can do. Granted, Guy almost kills him because of that, but still. At least when Madara fights against Naruto and Sasuke, he is using a lot of stuff. Inton Raiha, Ranton Koga, Limbo clones. He uses a massive multi-planetoid Chibaku Tensei as well. And granted, we don't really see that fight playing out until the end because Black Zetsu and Kaguya arrive to ruin the series. But we definitely get the feeling Madara had way more than just Truth Seeking Orbs in his arsenal when he was the Jinchuriki of the 10 tails. It's kind of a shame we never see him using his Susanoo in that state. Maybe there's an argument to be had that Madara couldn't use his Susanoo the same way Obito couldn't use Kamui, but I've always rationalized that Obito couldn't use Kamui because it was too much chakra to transport in between dimensions, and the Susanoo isn't really that. It's just a manifestation of chakra itself, and Madara had absolute total control over his chakra when he was the 10 tails Jinchuriki, unlike Obito, who had to struggle against the 10 tails for some time. Also, Madara is just a much more powerful and a better shinobi than Obito, so yeah, he probably could use Susanoo and chose not to because, let's be real, a Truth Seeking Orb shield is much more reliable than the rib cage, but the perfect Susanoo would still be pretty useful. We still get that in the video games. Juubidara uses his perfect Susanoo against Sasuke. It's kind of uninspired there because the perfect Susanoo looks exactly the same as Madara's perfect Susanoo in his normal state. Though it was way bigger than Madara's original perfect Susanoo, it was the exact same design. Madara's Limbo clones could also use perfect Susanoo's in the video games, which was pretty cool as well, but we never get to see that in the original series, so it's not really canon.
Just like Burrito.
But that's the thing, Madara loses his Truth Seeking Orbs, and he never gets them again until he's backstabbed by Zetsu. They are kind of a finite resource, apparently. You don't really get them back if you waste them or something. Juubito keeps his Truth Seeking Orbs until he loses the fight against Naruto and Sasuke and gets the 10 tails yanked out of him. Madara, on the other hand, has his Truth Seeking Orbs teleported by Minato, and then the other one he uses as his staff. You would think that the Truth Seeking Orbs would return eventually, that the 10 tails Jinchuriki would be able to create new orbs out of the 10 tails chakra, but apparently this never happens. Naruto also gets the Truth Seeking Orbs when he gets 6 path Sage mode, and he is definitely the worst Truth Seeking Orb user by far. The only thing he does with them is to create a staff in a point he is fighting Madara. He then uses the Truth Seeking Orbs to trick Kaguya, putting them in a shadow clone to make Kaguya think that was the original, and then he uses the Truth Seeking Orbs to block Sasuke's Susanoo arrows, and they're gone. Just think about it for a second. He tosses the Truth Seeking Orbs against Sasuke's arrows, and they are gone forever. He could have just used a Truth Seeking Orb shield and blocked the arrows with that, and they wouldn't be gone. Now, why did Kishimoto not make Naruto use the Truth Seeking Orbs more effectively like Madara or Obito? A lot of reasons, really. The first thing is that Kishimoto doesn't really like to handle too many jutsus in a single fight. Sasuke barely uses any Rinnegan abilities in the fight against Naruto, so Naruto is not gonna use the Truth Seeking Orbs that much either. filler. It's difficult to handle characters like that, so Naruto just tosses them away. Also because Naruto may have been too powerful with them, though I would argue if Naruto had the Truth Seeking Orbs at full power and Sasuke had the Rinnegan at full power, they would still cancel each other out. And also because the Truth Seeking Orbs was something we thought about mostly as a villain power, because the two main bad guys of the war arc had those, and then Naruto acquired them. It would have been cool to see Naruto using them to a better extent. I'm not saying that Naruto should have relied on them just like Obito did, only using Truth Seeking Orbs, far from it, but as he had them, at least use them for something more interesting than just tricking the dumbest character in the series and using them to block some casual attacks. Just think about it, if Naruto didn't have Truth Seeking Orbs, nothing would have changed. He could have easily tricked Kaguya some other way, and he could have deflected Sasuke's arrows some other way as well. They were completely ineffective against Juubidara, so yeah, they weren't really necessary.
To be fair, he uses the Truth-Seeking Orb rods to seal one Limbo clone, but that's about it.
They made Naruto look really cool when he arrived in the battlefield with the 6 orbs floating around his body, but other than him looking cool, they don't do anything. So in Naruto's case, he just uses them too little, and in Obito's case, he uses them too much. Madara strikes a better balance, but he never reaches the perfect balance because he spams them against Guy and the fight before Guy, only using the Truth Seeking Orbs, and after the Guy fight, he doesn't use them anymore really because he lost them. So there's never a middle ground with the Truth Seeking Orbs. We never see them being used in conjunction with other powerful and interesting jutsus pulling off combos. And perhaps that's intentional, perhaps Kishimoto didn't want to make the characters way too powerful, or just didn't want to handle too many jutsu at the same time. The thing is, it's kind of a shame we never see that, because it would make sense for characters to combine their most powerful jutsus and use them to defeat their opponents. Watch this other video right here for more entertaining Naruto content. Subscribe, it helps me a lot. And also like this video for the YouTube algorithm to treat me well. Thank you so much for watching.